I'm playing another Pay Me No Mind sports entertainment video coming with some bite down boxing talk. Again, I still am without my regular setup, being able to do my thing in my room. I got ears on me, so I'm out here in my garage for my lunch break, little afternoon wood check in on some boxing talk. I'm seeing stuff back and forth with what's going on with Anthony Joshua and the rematch with Alexander Usyk, and then that's kind of tied to what's going on with Tyson Fury and the Dillian White situation, and then like I said, I'm very concerned with where boxing is in 2022. Very disappointed to hear that COVID, cost us a great fight with Chocolatito and Estrada, the trilogy in that one. But I think it's, I cannot complain about El Rey Martinez coming up and stepping in place of Estrada, who had COVID. So, that's not the matchup I was expecting in Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. And I always forget Martinez's first two names, but El Rey, Cesar Martinez. What was it? Anyway, so nice save for Matchroom, DAZN, so on and so forth. But getting to this Anthony Joshua situation, I saw the video out there with him speaking on it. Real talk, I don't care what he said, if he's reneging, if it's this, if Eddie Hearn reneged. I really don't care about none of that. I usually don't even talk on this type of stuff. And I don't really have a lot of input on that. I just think in general, though, for the sake of boxing, I think Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, whatever has to take place to get them two together, I think it's the best move for boxing. Like we say we do in America, we say stuff we talk about in the interest of national security. For me, in the interest of international boxing prominence, I'm not mad at Tyson Fury and Usyk. I do think Anthony Joshua is in a position where he could sustain a second loss to Usyk. It'd be tougher if he was knocked out. I think that would be an issue. But I think he could sustain a second loss to Usyk, in my opinion. Figure out another opponent to bounce back against, and then go into a potentially go into a fight with Tyson Fury, where Fury to defeat Usyk and become undisputed. I think that's out there. I could be wrong, but I think you could sell that fight, even with Joshua with his third loss and being beaten twice by Usyk. I think that fight still works. I would pay to see it, and that's why Claressa Shields is on the title of this video. See, she did her Las Vegas media workout yesterday. They actually have an international press conference here at 1:00. I'm probably not gonna make that one. But just this pay-per-view situation, a lot of these fights are really only working because they're not pay-per-view. The minute that you tell me I have to pay to see Anthony Joshua on pay-per-view, I'm probably out. Tyson Fury versus Dillian White, I'm probably out. I'm not paying for that. Getting to the Claressa Shields situation. Claressa Shields being on this on the undercard of Eubank Jr. and versus Liam Williams. I gotta pay to see that on Fight TV. I'm probably not buying that. I don't know what the price is of it just yet, but for those of us in the States, that's the only way we can see it is Fight TV or Fight.tv. I would imagine it's probably gonna be $45, maybe $55. When this was originally supposed to go off, and it was going to be a doubleheader of Claressa Shields and Emma Kozmin, and then Savannah Marshall. What up, though, Finkley? Happy New Year, brother. When it was going to be the doubleheader, with Savannah Marshall versus an opponent and then Claressa Shields on the same night, I buy that. I would have bought that. Whether or not it was still tied to the Williams Eubank Jr. fight or not, I would have paid to see that because I have interest in what's going to happen next. This standalone card with Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams and then Claressa Shields and this Cozine, I probably got to pass on that. I'm sorry. But getting back to Tyson Fury and the Anthony Joshua situation and Usyk and the step aside, they holding down the prospects lately afternoon. What you mean, man? You said they're holding them down. Did you mean me? Anyway. But yeah, getting back to Tyson Fury, you know, the whole situation with the hold up on the Dillian White fight. The man has a lawsuit against the WBC. There's a chance for a purse bid out there. Just points to my point I was making. What I was talking about yesterday is like boxing is in this bad space. It's very difficult to get money to put these fights on. The fights that they feel that they have to send to pay-per-view. Between the piracy and the fact that a lot of these fights just aren't all that compelling, it's just a risky ass business. And you know, I don't care how they bring. I don't really care how they get Fury and Dillian White done. If I have to pay for it, if I gotta pay $75 to see it, I skip it. I skip that one. It's not that important to me. So that's what I'm just saying. All this stuff is extremely difficult. Even looking at a Deontay Wilder getting back in the picture whenever he's ready to go. You know, Deontay Wilder against any opponent going to pay-per-view, I'm not necessarily paying for it. Matchroom put on that card 3 weeks ago and had pretty good looks at certain boxers who were sitting on the shelf. Which one were you talking about? Recently on Matchroom. I was just talking about this like 2 days ago. It's been a couple of, because I'm excited about this weekend's card on ESPN Plus and ESPN, but it's not even really mid-level boxing in the main event with Conceição and Xavier Martinez. That's really not even mid-level boxing, but I'm excited about the fight. Then on the ESPN Plus portion of that card, the 2 heavyweight fights with Jeremiah Milton and Jason Bergman. And then the main event with Stephen Shaw and Joey DeVelco. I'm excited about it, but that's really not even mid-level boxing. It's just a bunch of boxing with some heavyweights on there that I'm interested in. Then they got some newcomers and some prospects on there, but it'll be interesting to see what the interest level is in the card because the big names aren't on there. But yeah, well, I was saying with Deontay Wilder, if he's strictly pay-per-view moving forward, like I would pay to see him against Andy Ruiz. If you want to put Wilder out there against Robert Elenius for $75, I skip that. I don't need to see that. I know they're throwing around the youngster Jared Anderson against Deontay Wilder. I pay to see it, but I think that's a bad move right now. I don't think I don't think Jared Anderson. Oh, yeah. But they didn't show the Ammo Williams fight. Yeah, the Ammo Williams fight, they might have shown it on Matchroom's YouTube page, but it wasn't streamed. I was kind of disappointed about that. And McCaskill and the girl that she fought, it was okay. That might have been the card I could not think of that I was disappointed in, but I had interest in it. I just want Matchroom to stay active in the year. I think we need them there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I see all the finger pointing and the hatred of this person and we don't like this promoter and yada, yada, yada. But I think at the end of the day, the more players that are involved on broadcasting fights and streaming fights, I think we need that. So I'm with you. I want to see Matchroom continue to be active, but it's kind of it's kind of tough for them, man. I mean, perfect example. I was talking yesterday about how tough when I was asking about do we need a G League for boxing. I was talking about Adrian Broner, but I guess my overall thought would be this. I feel like it's so much consternation in the United States right now, boxing wise, because it's not too many black fighters who really can call their own shots. It's really not too many black fighters who are really able to go out here and get a bag. Most of them are waiting for the right opponent, just like we see with Charlo potentially having a fight with Canelo now. But a lot of these guys really just can't call too many shots right now. And I think it's unsettling for a lot of fans because we can't get the freaking fights that we want. But a perfect example is a Devin Haney. Matchroom is tied to Devin Haney, but Devin Haney really has no real leverage in getting the Kambosos Jr. fight, which he badly needs or badly wants, but he's really not in the driver's seat of that situation. The only thing in his favor is he does have the belt, but the only thing that's really helping him out is that Eddie Hearn needs to deliver that particular fight to satisfy the relationship with DAZN, because they don't really have much to point to in the States. And for whatever, people want to say whatever, in my opinion, on Devin Haney, but he really hasn't established himself as, he's just not all that big of a draw. I enjoy seeing the fights, and I want to see Devin Haney win and advance and all of that type of stuff, but I watched the fight against Jojo Diaz, and I don't feel like I didn't leave that fight thinking I saw like an excellent night of world championship boxing. The environment in the arena, it was just wow. I know who Devin Haney is, but nobody else knows him. So again, it just goes to, I think a lot of brothers right now, a lot of black fighters, Shakur Stevenson is in a good spot because they had a fight out there with him and Oscar Valdez. But from your lips to God's ears, exactly. But yeah, without Eddie Hearn really needing to go to DAZN, like, hey, I got this undisputed fight for us, for the subscribers and to have a big moment on the channel. He really needs that. But honestly, the better fight for Kambosos. Okay. The better fight for Kambosos would really be Lomachenko, to be honest, in my opinion. It'd be the tougher fight, in my opinion, too. But I see that fight working better for Kambosos, and I think it's a bigger fight with Lomachenko in there. That's just my opinion. Shields and this Emma Kozin. Like I said, I'm gonna have a hard problem putting down some money to see this fight. I do want to see this fight. Emma Kozin, though, when I look at her, she's 20-0-1. She did fight in the United States back in 2018. She has 11 KOs. She's about 5'8.5". We know what this fight is, one half of this kind of like the semifinals to get us to Shields. And what's up, Jelly Bean? How you doing, bro? This is kind of one half of the semifinal to get us to Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall. We don't know when Marshall is back. We don't know who her opponent is going to be. But, yeah, I really don't have anything to go on Kozin to be that excited for me to dig into my pocket and pay Fight TV, $40-something for this fight, $45. So I'm going to see what I can do. But for real, Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams, I mean, I love boxing, man, but I just all of these subscriptions I gotta maintain or manage. Uh, it's too much. It's just too much, and it's really not a big payoff for me. I mean, to tune in to see Claressa Shields and Cozine, that's really not gonna ruin my weekend. Um, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to check it out. I will say this though, I'm looking at Claressa. I thought it was good news. She mentioned that they added Gerald Tucker to the team as to be an additional or a second trainer to help out Jackson. I mean, I think that's a good move. But why the negative talk about Savannah Marshall? Um, in my opinion, Claressa Shields, it's not like you have a lot of great options because of the weight classes that you're in. You don't have a lot of great options out there. So how do you talk about Savannah Marshall and kind of like try to talk down about her by mentioning that she's always talking about you when you're always talking about her? Because y'all the only two that y'all have to talk about. So I don't know why we gotta, why that has to be the narrative for them, but it is what it is. But again, that's kind of the best fight that can be made for her. Other than that, though, she talked about heading back over to Europe, going back to her Olympic days. I thought Jackson and Shields have been phenomenal. Much success moving forward. If anybody can prepare Shields, it's him. Jackson's not out. He's not out. They're just bringing in Gerald Tucker. She said she wanted to have a second set of eyes in camp. She just said she was looking at some. I think there's a relationship to Floyd Mayweather. The media workout that she did yesterday was at the Mayweather Boxing Club or whatever it is out in Las Vegas, and it's not to replace Jackson. I'm with you. I think her and Jackson have made a great. Since Jackson came in for the Crutchfield Cat, I think it's been a pretty good relationship. I think her, her skills have really improved and everything. So you definitely don't want to disrupt any of that chemistry right there. It's kind of, to me, to be honest, it's still a bit of a mystery what the hell Gerald Tucker really does. Oh, that's what she said. She said Gerald Tucker, the way that he works her out on the pads is much different from John David Jackson's style. So it's just giving her different looks, working on, different combinations and whatnot, just adding to her game. So from that perspective right there, I mean, Tucker does seem to be pretty knowledgeable in what he's talking about. And I think he has a different connection to some of these fighters. I think she also mentioned that he was very, he was familiar with Floyd Mayweather's conditioning and whatnot. So she was very interested in adding strength and conditioning changes to her, to have to look better on fight night. So we'll see whether we see anything different in her against Emma Cozine. Are you buying that fight, Ronald Finkley? Are you going to buy the Eubank versus Williams, Shields versus Cozine card? Are you going to put down $50 to bring, to watch that February 5th? We got to think also that night. That's another thing with the pay-per-view. We got Keith Thurman and Mario Barrios that night is on pay-per-view. I'm not paying for that one either. I'm not streaming it either, but it's just... This is just, to me, is a horrible development for the sport of boxing. And so, look, the real question is, do you think Joshua will step aside if he will have a guaranteed chance? I was talking about that earlier. I think it makes sense. I was joking around earlier about, we often say stuff in America about doing things in the best interest of national security. I think in the best interest of international boxing. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you. But I think it's the best move. I think if we can get Fury and Usyk, you can sell that to the public internationally. You can sell that as undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. I pay for it, no questions. I put my money down and I watch it. I don't have no complaints with that fight. I think if Anthony Joshua comes back and faces Alexander Usyk, I do think there's a path for AJ to win that fight. I don't know if it's a high probability that he executes that and is able to do it. But I just think if they can give you 15 million, hell, if they can give you 10 million and you want to step aside, I think he can easily say, hey, I got my new trainer, you know, I'm working on some new things. As long as it's on paper, as long as he has the winner of that fight on paper, what's the problem? You know, like I said earlier in the video, and I'm about to get off of here, but I said earlier, I do think that AJ can lose to Usyk as long as he's not knocked out. I think he could lose to Usyk. It'll be more difficult to find an opponent to bounce back against. And then if Fury was to beat Usyk once they did meet, I still think AJ and Fury is a pretty decent fight. It won't be as big with AJ coming in being handed a second loss from Usyk. It wouldn't be as big to me, but I would still want to watch it. I think AJ is right, because now technically who Usyk is a wild card at this point. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm really with whatever is best for boxing. And like I said, I think this whole thing with Dillian White, while he has been waiting forever for his shot for that WBC belt, you know, you did get knocked out by Povetkin. You did come back and rectify that situation. But Fury and I'm going to tell you why Fury and White next doesn't set the world on fire for boxing or the heavyweight division. It doesn't set the world on fire because they're bullshitting around with all this business talk. If it made sense for everybody involved, the promoters, the networks, across the board, Shields has had a milestone legendary fight with Christina Hammer, and she has a tune-up cool, but Savannah Marshall again. Yeah, that's all she can do. I mean, we don't know none of these women above welterweight. We don't know any of those women. You can't keep coming in here. You can't keep coming in here grabbing this person that we've never seen them before. Most of them haven't fought out of their own countries. The most interesting thing about her and Ivana Habazin, excuse me. Yeah, I'd like to see AJ and Wilder. Definitely. That's what I'm saying. It's dry out here. Yeah. AJ could probably lose 2 more fights before he really starts teetering on being irrelevant. You know, like I said, if he doesn't get knocked out by Usyk, he still has a couple of plays to make down the road. Like it just would be kind of difficult, or it would require a lot of thought to get the right opponent that he would beat. Yeah, let's talk, man. Leave a comment down here so I can come find you afterwards and let's chop it up. But yeah, AJ, I think in my opinion is a dude that's still in a situation where one more loss isn't the end of the world for him. Usyk, Corey, what's good, bro? Usyk, a loss for him isn't the end of the world for him. I think the only one who can't take another loss is it's just being out here in his garage, man. Yeah, I think the only one who can't have another loss is Dillian White. And this is frozen. That's how cold it is out here. Hey, I got to get off of here, man. It's the end of my lunch break. Bite down boxing. Don't let them catch you out. I'll probably have some content coming up on the website this weekend with the ESPN Plus fights. Let me get on out of here. Peace.